Ready?
Yeah.
All right. Episode 2, Vegas Day Drinkers Club. Here we are. It's a Saturday, sunny Las Vegas, 60 degrees. We are now into December, and here we are. Darren and I, welcome back.
Hello. I'm here. A little worse for the wear. We've been night drinking last night.
Yeah, little Jaeger. So let's get into it. Episode 2. It's been a busy 8 days. We were delayed in recording with some personal stuff, work, I mean, as I tell the dogs every day, chicken doesn't pay for itself, so I still got to show up at work. But we are now publishing across many podcast platforms. You can find us on Apple, Spotify, Amazon, whatnot. So just keyword search us if you're coming new into us.
I was on a away mission for last week. That's why we didn't record. I was in a little town called Leavenworth, Washington.
Yeah, Leavenworth, Washington, beautiful mountain town up in Washington State. Obviously a lot of German influence, so it has the feel of a Bavarian village.
Chris would have felt very at home.
Yeah, and Prosit Gebührlichkeit, fröhliche Weihnachten, mein Freund. That's for the international audience. So we'll get into Espanol next week and Feliz Navidad, but until then we'll keep it all Hochdeutsch.
I thought that was more of the May thing, like Cinco de Mayo, then we'll move into the phases.
That's right. Maybach, Oktoberfest. We're multicultural here at the Vegas Day Drinkers.
Of course.
Let's get into a couple segments here. Let's talk about the week that was. Formula One week. It seems to be, again, a little minced with what happened as far as actual numbers and turnouts. I mean, you have the Vegas Convention Bureau that's saying it was a phenomenal hit. You have people that were on the scene in the trenches saying that it was not the numbers that it was last year. I'm indifferent. I mean, it's a slow week in Vegas historically. I know like the locals like to complain about it and what it does to the strip for multiple weeks at a time. I get both sides of it. Darren?
I wouldn't even have known it was here unless you would have told me. The wrap on my bar, on the bar I work at, there's a little wrap. It says F1 on it, so it really doesn't affect me at all. If you live and work on the strip, then yes, you're definitely going to feel it. But if you're, 10 miles removed, I didn't even notice it.
Yeah, it's definitely a tale of two cities for sure. I mean, you have all the people that work on the strip that live in the communities across the valley that, whereas right now you have NFR starting, and we'll talk about that in a few minutes, but, where everyone almost is euphoric about NFR being here, but Formula One is quite the contrast.
Cowboy Christmas is legit.
Yes, it is. Where
the Crown Royal and the Crow's Light be pouring. That's
true, and a pouring it is Buffalo Trace, Pendleton, all those fun things. But again, I think it's the billionaires of the world flying in, and they're catered and garnished and escorted quite through, so they don't get out in the community as they're spending money across multiple properties. It's just quote unquote the luxury properties, the Winds, the Venetians, the Bellagios that sees it, and that's part of the strip too. So again, I get both sides of it, but as far as in the ancillary properties, you just don't really see it. It's like you said a moment ago. It's here, but is it?
Can we talk about whiskey for 1 second?
Sure.
I'd just like to give a shout out to the guys over at Westland Whiskey. They are recognized in the top 20 in the world for their wine cask American whiskey.
And where's that at?
Westland is a distillery up in Seattle, Washington. I have my stomping ground. I know this is a Vegas Day Drinkers podcast, but we do talk about.
Hey, people drink in other cities too.
Exactly.
We're not gonna be arbitrated. Just
so for the second year in a row, they were in the top 20 for the whole world in whiskey. So but last year was the Garyana 8th edition, I believe it was. I got to get my facts straight. This year is their wine cask American whiskey. So pretty awesome.
DB working on remote, even though he's back in Vegas. He was up in Seattle for 5 days, so he's getting his little source out there.
Hey man, I got Seattle pride. Just like you wear your Chiefs pride, I wear my Seattle pride.
That's right, and I have my own opinions about the Chiefs right now too. However, whatever Formula One was, let's talk about Neon City Festival that was downtown concurrently on the same weekend as Formula One, the weekend before Thanksgiving, just a couple weeks ago. Tremendous success. It was a free festival that featured music, culinary, and the arts. Now, assuming they had the vendors, this was put together by Derek Stevens, who is proprietor of Circa and the D, and I'm sure he has a couple properties that I can't remember at the time. But It had 30% increase on foot traffic, from my understanding, over 2023. So people gravitated, I think, be it if you were visiting and or local, that the premise of free, I'm sure even though if you went down there and bought items, they weren't free, but the auspice of having a non-ticketed entry was welcoming to a lot of people.
Yeah, I mean, it's the kind of thing that the city needs more of. More festivals for the locals, more things to do for just people in general, like the First Fridays.
Yeah.
It's like a great event in the city, and I think there needs to be more. There's the one that they do in the summertime, the Vegas Eats, or what's that one called? Anyway.
Well, there's so many now.
Yeah.
I mean,
anyway.
there was Life is Beautiful downtown, but that went away this year because city permits were not renewed in time or something. Again, there's some hodgepodge of why that didn't really come to fruition. But circling back around to Derek Stevens, I've met him personally once, just like a handshake, so I won't say he's a colleague or whatever, but multiple people that I work with. I think he is like the new face of Las Vegas, where Steve Wynn has kind of rendered that position over the years. He's in his properties, he's shaking hands, he's welcoming, he's engaging, and as far as growing his brand downtown, he is that face behind the name, whereas some of these monolith corporations, like MGM and Caesars, it's just a board of directors. He gets it, and I appreciate what he's trying to do. And if a lot of people go right, he's going left. And as he continues to evolve, as growing his brand, of course he makes money too. Let's not be silly, but he listens. It's not just about the fine print, if you will, and the in the spreadsheet, that he will spend some money, and I think it comes back and rewards him handsomely.
Derek Stevens, Mr. Vegas.
There he is.
He's the new. What's that guy's name? I can't even think of the guy's name.
Steve Wynn?
No, Shenandoah. Wayne Newton.
Oh, Wayne Newton. Yeah.
Without the performance.
Gotcha. So Shenandoah, R.I.P. So not Wayne Newton yet, but on that, speaking of festivals, I just read recently too that Sick New World, that would be here in April of 2025, was abruptly canceled recently. That was at the Las Vegas Festival Grounds on the North Strip. I think it would have been the second or third year. I think from what I've read that the ticket sales were not what they had wanted. I also read that, where tickets for a 3-day event was $250 in 2023 and had juggernauted to $450 for 2025. So that's a significant tick up in just your baseline pricing.
That sounds like a cash grab to me.
Yeah, I mean, I think it was going to be, I know it was Metallica, and I forget the other co-headliner, but from just talking to people in the streets, I think Metallica's appearance fee was up there, that it was substantial enough that no one else was going to make money. So I'm not saying that it was strictly Metallica and then the offset decision to cancel it, but
when you shoot for the stars, sometimes you get burned.
That's right. As
Icarus found out.
True statement. So that has, for the time being, been canceled, and I don't know if it will return in 2026.
Now, can we talk about the AWS, the Amazon Web Services?
Which is a good segue into what's happening right now in Vegas, yes.
Okay, so people wouldn't know, but obviously it's a convention it's a meetup for the people that run the Amazon Web Services, which provides your internet, and this is the very thing you're listening to this on. But they had a Weezer, and then they had another band that I cannot remember the name of for the life of me right now, but I'd never even heard of them, and they were the headliner.
Really?
Yeah, it was like, I can't, Wiz or something like that.
Wiz Khalifa?
No.
Okay.
I think it's a European band, but they were the headliners over Weezer. And I'm like, how could I have not heard of this band?
If you're an American going into the bathroom and an American coming out, you know what you are in the bathroom?
American.
European. There we go. The setups.
The dad jokes.
Yeah. But AWS is one of the last big events of the year in Las Vegas, and it takes over the Strip, as I can attest, and Darren can attest too, because there were many a plenty of old-fashioned serves on the Strip this week. So be it whatever your brown liquor was, it was going into those tasty old-fashions with your blocked ice, your Luxardo cherries, and your swath of orange. Concurrently to AWS, this week we also have the enrollment once more of the last big wrap up of the year, is the NFR/Cowboy Christmas, concurrently happening at UNLV. There's events at South Point. There's events at Mandalay Bay. So you definitely see the ropers and the wranglers for sure in town this week. And it's always a good time. People is, again, going back to what Formula One was. NFR seems to be welcomed by most of the people that work on the strip, because my experience has always been that the cowboys and the cowgirls, for that matter, are happy to be here, and they're always very generous and enjoying their time here.
They really do, yeah. I remember there was a time where there was talk of the rodeo moving, because they were not capitulating to Las Vegas, and I think, didn't it move for 1 year?
It did. It went to Dallas in the pandemic.
Yeah, and that was the last year. They brought it right back, because I think people realized, what kind of entertainment we provide in this town.
Yeah, and Jerry Jones, of course, has, AT&T Stadium, and, they can welcome and hold the event for sure. But, I mean, a lot of your cowboys and ranchers and everything live in Texas, so it's just in their backyard. And it's not nearly as enticing as Vegas, because all the sights and sounds, the shows. I mean, restaurants for sure. I mean, this weekend alone, you have multiple country artists performing across multiple venues, which is, again, we're recording this on Saturday morning. You have George Strait, Chris Stapleton, and Little Big Town tonight at Allegiant. You have Coulter Wall, you have Brad Paisley. You have any one of many other country artists performing across venues across the valley this weekend and next weekend. And it's just, Texas can't support that. So I think that, the Convention Bureau and the city of Las Vegas went out to the Cowboys and the NFR, and they figured it out. And we're welcome to have them back.
Heck yeah.
So, and then, Cowboy Christmas is a big retail event. So these guys that have all this cash in their pocket come in town and buy their new hats, their new boots, their Ariat brand stuff, Ariat. I don't know if that's how you pronounce it. Ariat. Yeah, there we go.
Boot Barn is probably very busy this week.
They're very, very busy. So they're here now, and cowboy up, and have a Pendleton on us.
Do you have a pair of cowboy boots, Chris?
I do not. So
why not?
Because I'm a shit kicker.
Nice.
Yeah.
I love that.
Put on your shit kickers and kick some shit.
There you go.
Excuse my profanity. Buffer that on YouTube. Going into the next segment for a moment, I posted on our Facebook page yesterday. If you're listening from afar and haven't joined us, please join us at facebook.com/Vegas Day Drinkers. It's free to join. But I posted the question yesterday, the query, if you will. What is your favorite dive bar in Vegas?
Oh, I saw that. My favorite dive bar? I'm going to have to say, oh man, let me think about it for a second. I'll let you take the lead on that one.
I'm ultra high-end luxury plush. I don't have dive bars. I'm kidding. I've bartended here in town for 20 years, and people said I should put together a dive bar tour, but I have a few, but I have to go back to
that's why we're doing the Vegas Day Drinkers Club.
That's right. That's right. That's one of the reasons. But I have to go to the Huntridge Tavern over in Charleston, Maryland, an area that's going through a little bit of re-diversification, if you will. But, probably don't want to be over there at night. It is a 24-hour bar, but it's always fun to pop in because it's not cookie cutter. I don't have a problem with cookie cutter bars, but it still has personality. It's in a neighborhood. You really don't know what you're going to walk into, when you're in there. And the drinks are still non-egregious, very, very affordable.
There's a couple of good, but you're like, they've been talking about renovating that place for a million years.
Yeah.
Since I moved here in 2000, and it's finally kind of happening, that area.
It's got like the meat locker doors. I think it opened in the late 40s or early 50s, and it still has that look. That's a bar that my grandfather could have walked into, and if he was sitting there today, R.I.P. Don, that, it's still fitting. So it just has that time lock, and it's universal and it's appreciated. Other dive bars, of course, more popular on Maryland also, Champagne's. Used to be Champagne Cafe.
Oh, yeah. Always
a good pop over when you're on the east side of town if you're in the neighborhood.
I'm thinking, for me, I like the fake dive bar, the one off of Main Street, the Silver Stamp.
Silver Stamp, yeah. Your grandpa's basement beer bar for the Midwest.
Just even though it's completely made up and it's made to look that way,
fabricated,
they pull it off so well that you wouldn't know that they even tried.
Yeah, Ruth and Andrew and their team over there have done a very good job, and that's a popular spot. It's a very curated. Obviously somebody spent a lot of money on eBay getting nostalgic beer pieces and swag from the 50s, 60s, and 70s.
And by the way, if you're in the area, if you're coming to Vegas anytime over the holidays, their holiday decorations are phenomenal.
This is true.
Blast from the past. If you're of the age of Chris and I'm not going to say what it is, but I'll say growing up in the 70s and 80s, the decorations are on point. So it'll take you back to that era.
When I was rocking the suburbs.
That's right.
Because this is an early December episode, everyone's looking for a little variety, and I just did a quick search on eater.com and a couple other places. Christmas pop-ups. So Christmas pop-ups have become a thing in our culture. These bars have become all festive and whatnot, not only with crafted cocktails, but decorations that lend itself to the season.
Yeah, I mean, I know Bad Elf at the Silverton. That's pretty cool.
That's just down the road from us. Nathan and his team over at Sand Dollar are doing different variations of it at their downtown location and their Spring Mountain location. I think it's Miracle on Spring Mountain, and it eludes me the name of the party downtown. I just read that the new bar Flankers, which is the glorified sports bar inside Mandalay Bay where they tried pre-party before games at Allegiant, have opened up the Christmas parlor. So they're showing classic Christmas films and then have crafted cocktails. One, I forgot the piece of paper downstairs, but it was a Nakatomi Tower featured cocktail.
That's funny.
I might have to swing into that, which begs to ask the question.
The Hans Gruber?
I mean, was ist los? Schießt den Fenster. Which begs the question, is Die Hard a Christmas movie?
I've argued this for years, but I just relented and allowed it.
You've allowed it?
Yes.
I always watch it during the holidays. I watch it any part of the time of the year it's on. So I guess, yes, it is a Christmas. It has all the feels.
Yeah, it does have the feels. I'd say it's an action movie. Set
of
during
course.
Christmas,
Yeah.
ultimately.
Yeah.
It goes along with like Gremlins. Is Gremlins a Christmas movie?
Yeah.
Set during Christmas.
Here I am drinking water, too.
Yeah. Instead of wine. Weird.
Right. I mean, John McTiernan was on to something so many years ago. Yippee-ki-yay.
When I was up in Leavenworth, I did imbibe in my day drinking adventure, I did imbibe in mulled wine. It was phenomenal.
Which is tasty on the lips, soothing on the hips, and such a hangover with all that sediment in the next morning.
I paired it with a dunkel, which was and a bratwurst.
Hitting all my heart fills.
I tried, Chris. I did it for you.
Yeah, hitting all my heart fills. Screw you, Krampus. So another segment we're going to work on and is developing as we go forward with this is in episode 2, mind you, so thank you again for listening, more episodes to come, is inside tips and tricks, what's going on in Las Vegas. Darren and I currently both work at the airport as bartenders in our day jobs, quote unquote, and as we work on this, a question I get all the time inside the airport is, do I have to leave security to go over to Terminal 3?
You do not.
You do not. This is a question that's asked by many a passenger, and it's explained quite often. If you are in C gates or D gates, A or B gates, you do not have to go outside the security to recheck to go to Terminal 3.
I tell everybody it's literally like the alphabet. You go from A to B to C to D to E.
Yeah.
All connecting. All in a letter. All in a line.
My verbiage is you have to go back up to the head of C gates, you have to get on the tram to D gates, take the tram over to D gates, you come out into a rotunda and a hallway. Before you go up the escalator, there's another hallway that takes you to another tram that takes you to E gates.
And by this time you finish that, their eyes are completely glazed over, and they haven't listened to about 30 seconds of that.
Of course, that's why I'm serving them a drink. Says it's going to take you 20 minutes each way, so why not get a beverage for the walk? And that's how I increase my liquor sales.
We try to help.
But yeah, you do not have to do that, which is a segue into something else I'm going to work on as a side project.
Can I quickly tell you a little story? When I first moved to Las Vegas, I had to take my first alcohol awareness class, your TAM class, tobacco, alcohol management. And the guy told a little story. He said, when people come to Vegas, they plan everything. They get their outfits. They make their reservations. They find out what hotel they're going to stay at. They find out what shows they're going to be at. They look at all the tourist traps. They figure everything out. Get their bikinis. Get their new makeup. Get everything ready. So they pack everything up in their bags. And they forget one thing every single time: their brains. They're just here to have a good time. That's the well, I think as a bartender in Vegas, that's the one thing I would remind everybody, as everybody's comes here to have a good time. So when you see an employee that's not having a good time, it's frustrating because that's what they're here for. And we should all show them a good time.
That's right.
Build the brand, man.
Check your own problems at the door and let it shine.
And Las Vegas is a brand.
It is a brand. We're going to start wrapping this up, but let's talk about the vision of where this is going. We're going to add some segments in the future. We might do live remotes. I want to do interviews in the future with people of substantiated nature in the Vegas Valley. I would like to do a new segment where we talk about sports betting. I'm talking to a couple people about doing their segments also. And Darren and I had this conversation last night where, unfortunately, the Valley is going through right now is the McDonaldification of like bars. And this isn't mutually exclusive to just local bars. This isn't about local bars. This is about downtown. This is about the Arts District. This is about the Strip. This is about local bars in the community. We don't have a sense of individuality anymore. These little bars in neighborhoods that have personalities. It's all cookie cutter. I'm not going to besmirch the names, but we all know who they are that are out there.
Yes.
And I think as we go forward, one of the goals that I would like to do is, if not a Patreon or a GoFundMe or a rich English investor, is take back our city a bit. And maybe we use this to fund a revolution to where we do open that little pop-up bar or something that has that unique characteristic that people appreciate. And it's not just, it feels good. It's, the bathroom might not always be clean, but you know the guy that cleans it.
Yes.
Yeah. So help us grow that. Again, this is a living document. This is a breathing document. This is us talking to you on Saturday morning as we grow the brand, as we continue to evolve. We're developing other social channels too. So tell us what you want to hear and share it with your friends. Again, we're on Facebook. We have a website. I've registered. I'm building that out. We're on social media. We're on TikTok. We're on Instagram. We have a YouTube page. So like us, subscribe to us. Tell us what you want to hear, where you're coming from. I think I had a shout out on the YouTube page from a gentleman in Dublin the other day. So
nice.
Holds true to my heart. So top of the mornings to you. And wherever you're coming from, we all, like Darren said a moment ago, Vegas is a brand. We're brand ambassadors, if you will. And let's go forward. Darren, any closing thoughts?
Viva Las Vegas.
That's his closing thought. Thanks for listening, guys. We'll see you next week.